Finish it off with our check-in of our college teams. The college season has been in full swing for a while now, and we're going to look at who's doing well and who is starting to really gain some momentum as we get towards the postseason series. And then, of course, finish it off with our traditional Around the Diamond segment, where we talk about whatever we're feeling like at the moment, whatever really has us going. We've got all that and more coming up on the Bullpen Bulletin. We've got Mike Patt, Ricky K, and Alden K all with you tonight here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. We're going to hear from our sponsors really quick, and we'll be right back with some baseball. So don't go away.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky, jerky that's on a whole nother planet. Go to planetjerky.net to get yours today. Also, Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but does a great job of helping and supporting, promoting mental health research. So go to their website, use code IESR to get 15% off your purchase and get yourself some nice gym wear today. Also, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, custom seals by Cecilia B. Perfect for any occasion. Go to Instagram and check her out at sealthedeal_wax seals. And our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use promo code IESR to get 10% off. They've got a whole bunch of different supplements, proteins, all those different kinds of things, whatever you're looking for to help your health. Get Raw Nutrition has it. So once again, that's code IESR to get 10% off. And of course, do be sure to follow all of us on X. All you baseball enthusiasts, do follow us at BP Bulletin _IESR. You can also follow us individually. You can find Ricky at Rickinator555. You can find yours truly at Let's Wine _IESR. And Alden's there at the AZTRL So follow all of us on X. And if you are a fan of the show or any of the shows here on IE Sports Radio, do be sure to check out the Supporters Club, just $5 a day, or $5 a month. I mean, you could do $5 a day if you really wanted to, but $5 a month gets you a whole bunch of cool promos. So again, if you're a supporter of the club, and by the way, if you're listening live or listening later on the week, whichever it is, we do appreciate all of you. Every viewer is special to us. Before we dive into the baseball, we've got Larry B in the chat. Let's go. We've also got Ralph Calise, the host of our Pittsburgh show. I imagine he's got some mixed feelings on those Pirates right now. They're off to we'll call it a mediocre start here. We also have Taryn Rodriguez saying good evening. And actually, yes, this is Ralph's comment on the Pirates are a mess. Yeah, it's pretty much, that's a pretty good take on it. So fellas, I think we're ready to talk some baseball. How about you? I think let's get it rolling here. And I think we've got a great topic to start off the evening with. The contract extension for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. The Blue Jays finally managed to get a deal done with their star first baseman. 14 years, $500 million. That's a really good chunk of change. I'd love to be his agent right now. But Ricky, let's start with you. How big of a deal is this deal? I mean, obviously, literally, it's a very big deal given the amount. But how big of a deal is this for all of the parties involved and all of baseball?
Well, I think from a Blue Jays standpoint, you finally found somebody to take the Rogers money. It was nobody seemed to want to take that money, not free agents, until Santander took it. Look, the Blue Jays need a face of the franchise, especially Bo Bichette is in his last year of his contract. Now Vlad has financial security. Now he can feel a little bit more comfortable at the plate. Now he can kind of gel into his kind of game. I think it benefits the Blue Jays to stay competitive in a really tough division to get this done. But I think big picture for baseball, it helps two players. One is Kyle Tucker, because he is going to get an insane amount of money being the top free agent on the market this winter. So if you're the Cubs, I don't really know how much money you're going to be willing to give Kyle Tucker. And the other one's Pete Alonso, who now becomes the best first baseman in the market. And Pete Alonso took a lot of criticism for not getting the right deal this offseason, ends up settling for a short-term deal. But now he could go back in the market if he has a great season. He is off to a really good start for the Mets, which we'll get into later. But he could get a big chunk of money from Steve Cohen, who would have been a favorite for Vlad Jr., as well as probably the Yankees. So I think Tucker and Alonso are the two free agents that most benefit from Vlad Jr. staying north of the border.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a great deal, a big deal for the Blue Jays, who were kind of swinging and missing on some of the bigger free agents. They always seem to have their name connected, but just never seem to quite bring it home. But they're finally able to bring home a big one. Alden, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is great for the Blue Jays, and it's about time they finally spend big money on somebody. I mean, we've seen guys that the Blue Jays have tried to get, and they ended up not getting him. We saw it with Ohtani, Soto, all these other big name players. So they finally were able to get an agreement with Vladdy Jr. to stay. And, I like this deal too. There's no deferral money. There's no opt-outs. And he, if I read it correctly, he even gets a no trade clause as well. So this is a good deal in his favor as well. But yeah, for the market, obviously with, Pete Alonso, obviously with his agent, anybody who's a Scott Boras client, it's going to be tough to get, anything good. But now that he is having a great year for the Mets so far, like Ricky said, he'll have another opportunity. But yeah, this is just overall really good for the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays are they actually are set to beat Boston here tonight and start the season 7-5. So they're also having a good start to the season. And now this is one less thing to worry about. You can focus on this season if you're Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And, the Blue Jays have to now keep their focus on Bo Bichette if that's what their next goal is, to re-sign him or, have a backup plan in case they don't bring him back. But overall, this is a really good deal for the Blue Jays, and they're starting off the season pretty good. So, the Blue Jays, they're looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys 100%. This is a phenomenal deal for the Blue Jays. Like Ricky said, they lock in a franchise player, a face of the franchise for a long time. And when you average out the money, it's a little bit more than 35 mil a year, which when you think about the way contracts are going and the way salaries are going up, I have a feeling we're going to look at this deal and maybe give it 7 or 8 years, and it's going to look like a bargain having a guy like Vlad down for 35 million, and it's also a great example of a team getting ahead of the market. Can you imagine what this deal would look like if they had waited till free agency next year? Or heaven forbid, let's say the Cubs give Kyle Tucker a massive extension. That sets the value then for this contract as well. So this was a great proactive move by the Blue Jays, and obviously for Vlad Jr., this is generational wealth. This is money that, will last as long as he's not too financially irresponsible with it. It is going to set him and his family up for a long time. So great deal for him. Great deal for the Blue Jays. Kind of stinks for the rest of the division because now you have to deal with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for the next 14 years. But, it comes with the territory. It's part of it. So that was the big headline for baseball this past week. Before we get into the games this past week, we're going to do our quick Tuesday score update. It is Tuesday. It's very often a game where pretty much every team plays on Tuesday night. So we're going to take a quick gander at the scores that have happened or will be happening, or currently happening, have happened, or will be happening. I'm going to take one really quick because it looks like they just finished up. The Nationals did finish beating the Dodgers 8-2. Great game for them. 2 home runs by James Wood moves them to 5-6 on the season. We're going to talk about them, I think, maybe as a team on the rise or in our next couple of segments. But Ricky, what else is going on across baseball right now?
So let's first take a look at the games currently in progress. Blue Jays 6-1 lead on the Red Sox, bottom of the ninth. So Toronto 4 runs in the 6th inning, getting the job done after Springer's great game last night. Angels and Rays at Steinbrenner Field 3-3 right now, bottom of the 8th. The crazy game tonight, Zach Wheeler against Chris Sale, and neither are going to get involved in the decision. It's 5-5 in Atlanta, bottom of the 7th. You have the Cubs with a 6-5 lead over Texas. Good matchup there. 2 good teams. Patrick Corbin made his debut for Texas, and it was not very good. Twins and Royals are tied at 1 in the 7th. Got a good pitchers duel there. Brewers are spoiling Zach Veen's debut in Colorado. It's 4-1 in the 3rd. And then later tonight, of course, the bullpen Bulletin battle with the Orioles and the Diamondbacks. Charlie Morton against Merrill Kelly. Astros and the Mariners. It is Luis Castillo for Seattle going up against Framber Valdez for the Astros. That's a fun pitching matchup. And then Reds and Giants in San Francisco. Great pitching matchup last night. Hunter Green outdoing Logan Webb. Nick Lodolo for the Reds and Roop for the Giants. And then the Padres out in Sacramento against the A's. Dylan Cease against Jeffrey Springs. Games that have gone final. Tigers shut out the Yankees 5-0. 4 home runs for Detroit. Tarek Skubal, 6 scoreless innings there. The Guardians win their home opener on a walk-off walk by Nolan Jones, 1-0. Only 5 combined hits in that game, so really low scoring in that one. Mets won their 6th in a row, a 10-5 win over the Marlins. 10 strikeouts for Clay Holmes, 4 ribbies for Pete Alonso. And St. Louis beats the Pirates 5-3. Sonny Gray defeats Paul Skeens as the Cardinals get a split in those first 2 games with Pittsburgh. And as Mike mentioned earlier, 2 home runs for James Wood. Kyle Finnegan didn't have to worry about pitching a 4th straight game as the Nationals take the first 2 from the Dodgers 8-2, your final in D.C.
Yeah, some great games going tonight. That's a great matchup in Seattle with Castillo versus Valdez. That's a really, really good pitching matchup to see. Before we head into our first break, Alden, I'm going to offer to you a gentleman's prediction here on the show. How do you think is going to be the result of the Diamondbacks-Orioles game tonight?
I mean, so let's go through it. So for Arizona, we got Merrill Kelly pitching. His last outing against the Yankees was not a very good one. Gave up 9 earned runs, and then the bullpen came in and did their part, but it wasn't enough to beat the Yankees. For the Orioles, they have Charlie Morton, who has not had a good start to this season. So 2 pitchers coming into this game with a pretty high ERA to start off the season. So pretty much this game is going to be all about offense, which team of batting is going to show up the most in this game. Obviously the one thing that killed the D-backs the other day was just the lack of batting. The Orioles bullpen really came to play in that game. The Diamondbacks had 5 hits, and all 5 of them were between the first and the 4th inning. The D-backs did not record a hit until the 9th inning when the game was pretty much over. So the Orioles bullpen is definitely going to be a factor in this game if Charlie Morton has another disappointing performance. Same thing with the Diamondbacks too. Their bullpen has shown up as well. They have a low ERA as a team, barely below 2. So both bullpens looking good in this game. So we're talking about offense here. The Diamondbacks really haven't been looking clean at the bat so far this season. So many fastballs that pitchers on other teams throw down the middle, and the Diamondbacks either just strike out, foul it away. So the Diamondbacks offense hasn't really been sharp as far as timing the pitches so far this season. So assuming they turn that around today, I'd say with the way the Orioles offense played today, I would probably assume that the Orioles would come in here. Gunnar Henderson had a really good game after starting off the year injured and struggling. He went 3 for 4 after starting the year, I believe 1 for 13. So he's going to build off of that. So I think the Orioles probably take the second game of this series with the score of I think this will be a decently high scoring game. I think it's going to come down to the bullpen in the late stage, and I think the Orioles win this one in a close one, 7-6.
Yeah, this has the making, the Orioles bats have been inconsistent, but when they're on, they put up a bunch of runs for sure. And then you've got 2 pitchers. I think one has an ERA of 10, one has an ERA of 9.72. So this definitely has the making of a high scoring affair, but I think you're right. I think the bullpens might cap it a little bit. And yeah, I mean, these types of games, it could go anyway. I'm gonna give the Diamondbacks this one. I think this is gonna be maybe even a little higher than yours, because I fear Brandon Hyde, manager for the Orioles, is gonna find an excuse to put the one reliever who has not pitched well for the Orioles, Cionel Perez, in this game, and then he might blow whatever's happening wide open. So I'm gonna say maybe like a 9-7 type affair here between the Diamondbacks and the Orioles tonight. I think there's going to be, and double digits is very well in the realm of possibility here. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to review the week that was, the weekend that was, and look at which teams are on the rise and what series to watch for this upcoming weekend. Do not go away. You are listening to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Minnesota sports? Do you love the Vikings and hate the Packers? Are you a fan of the Timberwolves, Twins, Wild, Lynx, St. Paul Saints? Here on the Bold North Breakdown, we'll talk about all of those professional teams as well as all the college teams in the area. That's your basketball teams, football, hockey, volleyball, men's and women's sports alike. We talk about them all. You're on the Bold North Breakdown. Join me, your host, Glenn Ritter, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central to discuss all that is happening in the Minnesota sports scene. Here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA to the grand slams of the MLB to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We are going to travel back in time to this past weekend, and we're going to go into our weekend takeaways. Lots of great baseball happening over the weekend, lots of exciting games. Ricky, let's start with you. What were your takeaways from this past weekend? What really stood out to you?
Well, I'm going to go out west for this one, and I think a team that has been really on the surprise early on is the San Francisco Giants. They were taking on the Seattle Mariners over the weekend, and the Giants right now just 2 losses on the season, both to the Reds, but they put up some walk-off magic in their home opener. Willie Adames had a walk-off hit in the bottom of the 11th to win 10-9, and then on Sunday it was Wilmer Flores who had the heroics with the walk-off hit to win 5-4. When you look at this Giants team right now, Justin Verlander hasn't won a game yet, and they have gone out there. They've hit the ball well. Wilmer Flores, I think it's 4 home runs, and he's not usually a guy that hits a lot of homers. Matt Chapman's hitting. Willie Adames is hitting. And that was the question you had with the Giants is, would their offense do enough? It's early, and this is a crowded NL West, but so far I think San Francisco is doing some things, and Seattle took a big injury over the weekend as well. Victor Robles getting hurt out in the outfield. He's going to be out for an extended amount of time. So you saw the Giants get some heroics in Seattle, really taking some big hits over the weekend. They're 4-7. Now they got a big win last night with Jorge Polanco's 2-run single in the 8th. But I think it says more about San Francisco that, hey, we talk about the Dodgers, we talk about the Padres, talk about the Diamondbacks, but Giants are off to a strong start for Bob Melvin and his club.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, the Giants definitely one of the hot teams to start the season. Alden, what stood out to you for this past weekend?
Yeah, so it is kind of funny. As soon as the Giants fired Farhan, they're turning it around by the looks of it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with the Detroit Tigers. I think that they've had a really good bounce back to start off the season. Obviously, they start off the year getting swept by the Dodgers, which everybody was scratching their heads about this team, despite playing the Dodgers. But since that Dodgers series, they've won 6 of their last 7, and they are currently 2-0 against the Yankees. The last game of the series is tomorrow. So overall, Detroit being able to bounce back like that, their pitching has shown up with Skubal pitching scoreless, having a scoreless frame today, which I believe it was 6 innings. So they were able to shut down the Yankees so far in this series. And, I understand fully they played the White Sox before that, but just the fact that the way AJ Hinch has managed this team, I think that, we talked about Detroit when we talked about their division, everybody thought, okay, yeah, they're just going to be this one-year team. I think that, and I said this about Detroit with the manager that they have, who's a proven winner, and the playoff run that they had last year, it's really looking like they're going to be able to build off of that, starting 7-4, having quite a few division matchups in the future. So that'll be a good test for them facing their division early in the season, and especially in the Central too. The AL Central has not looked really good to start off the season. I'm pretty sure Detroit's currently first right now. So anybody can win in that division, and Detroit, with the start that they've had, they could make a case to win that division this season. So I wanted to credit the Tigers as well. So they've had a good start after getting swept in the opening series.
Tigers are hot, one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, for sure. I am going to take it. So there are 2 teams in baseball that are not playing in the traditional home stadiums this year for various reasons. Obviously, you have the Athletics who are playing in Sacramento as they try to figure out whatever the heck their future stadium situation is. And then obviously you have the Rays who are forced to play in a minor league stadium due to the issues with their stadium down there in Tampa. But what's interesting to me is the difference in the early results between these two teams. Because Tampa, I said in the opening, when we did our divisional reviews, that I thought Tampa would suffer because they really don't necessarily have a home field advantage because they're not really playing in their home field. And yet so far through two series, they are 4-2 in their home stadium, so as you would say. They're currently tied with the Angels, and they're still at home, so that could be another victory there. Whereas you look at the Athletics, they're playing in Sacramento, and you can tell Sacramento. Well, I think the team has made some statements like, "Hey, no, we're definitely not staying in Sacramento for sure." And I think Sacramento has taken that to heart because I've seen some clips of their stadium, which is not very big to begin with, and it also looks empty despite not even looking that big. And they're 0-4 at home as well. I think Ricky brought it up before the show, like, hey, the Athletics haven't won a game at home. Because but can you really count it as home? Because it's not they're playing there for the first time, and they're not there long term. So I just thought it was fascinating looking at that and seeing that difference between these two teams, both displaced for various reasons, but one seems to be doing okay in that spot, and the other one seems to be struggling. Now both are below 500, but I thought that was an interesting statistic early on in the season. Now we're going to take our turn, and we're going to look at teams that are on the rise. And Alden, we're actually going to start with you for this segment. Who, obviously, you brought up Detroit in the previous section, recovering from their early sweep to win 5 in a row now. But who else do you see here? Maybe one or two other squads that are starting to turn it around here in the second full week of the season.
Yeah, so I should probably save this for you, but I'd say the Nationals. So, but I think they're the biggest headline right now. So I guess, yeah. So yeah, Washington, they started the year 1-6, and they've won their last 4 games against 2 competitive playoff contenders in the NL West. They won 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks. All their batters showed up in that series. They had Kyle Finnegan closed out the last 2 games, which it was good for him to get an off day today as they crushed the Dodgers. But James Wood has been killing it so far. Nathaniel Lowe has looked like a really good trade for the Nationals to start off the season. I believe he leads their team in the batting average and RBI category. Correct me if I'm wrong, but looked pretty good so far for the Nationals. And there were a couple pitchers for the Nationals, and I think one of the things I said about the Nationals, it is going to depend on their young pitching on how it really determines their season. Mackenzie Gore's played lights out. The first game against the Dodgers, the only player that really got to him was Ohtani, obviously. But other than that, Gore's looked pretty good. They had Williams against the Diamondbacks, and I believe he pitched, if I can remember correctly, it was 6 scoreless frames. So they've had guys, that they've developed on their own. That's really looked so good to start off this season early. And I said before the MLB season started, I think that the Nationals, while I don't really see them as a playoff team this season, I think that they can compete and really send a message to the league by competing with these contenders. And they've done that so far against the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. So the Nationals, even though, the record says that they're below 500, but, starting the year 1-6, seeing their bullpen be able to close out games, guys like James Wood and CJ Abrams. And that's another thing too. The first game that they won without Abrams playing as well, which I think was pretty interesting to bring up as well. So this Nationals team, while they're still very young, they're looking very competitive to start off the season. And these first 11 games, I think that they've been a team that has really stood out so far in this past week.
Hey, if you're going to praise one of my teams, I'm not going to stop you. Go right ahead, Alden. But no, I mean, yes, I agree with you. The Nationals pitching has been surprising. The starting pitcher, not only Gore, but also Mitchell Parker, two quality starts. I think only giving up one or zero run in both of his starts so far. So he's been really good as well. Ricky, who do you got? Who is hot in baseball? Obviously, nobody literally right now because it's still April. But who is hot right now in the MLB?
So for me, I kind of between two. If I want to go take the non-local approach, I'm gonna go with the Cubs. You look at them right now; they're 8-5 on the year, and they have played a really tough schedule. When you think about starting the year in Japan, going to play the Diamondbacks in Arizona, going to Sacramento to play the A's. You come home, you play the Padres. Now you're playing the Rangers at home before heading out to Dodger Stadium this weekend. And the Cubs are 8-5. I mean, they've got one of the better offenses in the National League. Kyle Tucker's hitting 339 with an OPS of over 1100. Dansby Swanson had a home run tonight, so he's hitting the ball well. Seiya Suzuki's got 14 RBI in the first 14 games, so he's doing a good job at the number 2 part of the order behind Ian Happ. And you look at their rotation, Imanaga's done well. Justin Steele had 7 scoreless innings last night. He is looking like a pitcher that could be in that top 5 Cy Young conversation. If he has a strong year, getting a full year of Pete Pro Armstrong, he could steal some bases. He's already got 6 stolen bases on the year, 2 of them coming tonight. And in an NL Central right now, where the Brewers are dealing with injuries, the Reds deal with injuries, the Pirates are a mess. Who knows what the heck's going on in St. Louis? I really am impressed with, especially with the quality. I think when you look at, we just finished the NCAA tournament, we talk about resumes. If you take the Cubs resume through almost 14 games, if they win tonight, they're 9-5, especially after starting the year 0-2. Craig Counsell's club is doing very well with the competition they're going up against.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give the Cubs credit. Yep, I saw that. I'm happy with that. We'll keep that. Let's keep that going. Cedric Mullins, 2 RBI single in the first inning, so O's up 2-0 against the Diamondbacks. I'm sure we'll
You
just
guys, we can't
periodically
even make
sprinkle
it through
that
the
game in throughout
first.
this. I'm sure. Well, Ricky, you kind of hinted at them when you said the regional thing, so I will go ahead and take up the mantle for you, and I will shout out the Mets. 6 wins in a row. Actually, I mean, they started out the season 1-2. They had a rough first series against the Astros, couldn't really get the offense going, but since then, everything has been working. Not necessarily all at once, but some games, if the pitching shows up well, then the hitting only has to do so much, right? So since that 1-2 start, this team is 7-1. They swept the Blue Jays. To be determined tomorrow if they complete the sweep of the Marlins, who are actually off to a pretty good start in their own right. The Marlins are now 5-6, but they did have a winning record for the majority of the season. So the Mets are hot. I know there was like kind of that initial concern right off the bat because sports fans are impatient and they want everything to work right away. That's not always how it works. But Pete Alonso off to a great start, batting .333, slugging .692, really crushing the ball. Soto's putting up Soto numbers. If you've followed Juan Soto, you can pretty much imagine that stat line. But he's off to a really good start as well. Really, those two guys kind of driving the offense. But based on the scores, it's the pitching that's really been driving it. Tyler McGill, through 2 starts, has a really good ERA. Same with Kodai Senga and David Peterson. So the pitching as a whole helping this team get it going. And whenever the pitching maybe doesn't have the greatest day, the offense has been there to carry them through. So the Mets, one of the hottest teams in baseball. I also want to shout out the Angels really quick. Come on, this is a team that all 3 of us put down in the season review. Admittedly, their competition hasn't been like the most amazing. They had excuse me, guys. Knocked my laptop over. Don't worry about that. They had the White Sox and the Angels in their first 2 series, or not the Angels. I'm talking about the Angels. The White Sox and the Cardinals, who were also off to a good start. But yeah, for a team that we all doubted, for them to be 6-3 and to have won each of their first 3 series, that's a pretty darn good start for them. not just us doubting them. I think most of baseball probably doubted them coming into the season as well. So let's jump into this weekend ahead. Obviously, we have the series currently going. They are going to finish out the week, and then we have our weekend series to watch. So, Ricky, let's kick this off with you. What series are you watching for this upcoming weekend?
So it's already talked about the Cubs, so I'll save that series. But it's to me the Cubs Dodgers. But I'm gonna go out to the Bronx. I think I'm due for a local talk since you guys have had your local conversation already. Giants and Yankees at Yankee Stadium this weekend. I already talked about the Giants, and you look at the Yankees right now. They're getting tested, and they're not passing these tests. Getting almost shut out by Casey Mize yesterday. Tarek Skubal gave them 6 scoreless today. The Yankees haven't hit a home run in 3 straight games, even though that they got some wins out in Pittsburgh. The bottom of the lineup was killing it. Paul Goldschmidt's off to a good start, but the Yankees are going to see some tough pitching. Logan Webb's going to be in this series. No Max Fried this series. He goes tomorrow against Jack Flaherty. We'll see hopefully Carlos Rodon against his old team, how that's going to go. And that's a good test for San Francisco going on the road to New York. We'll see if their offense can pick it up. But the Yankees, I think, have some questions to answer. They're hitting the ball okay, but their pit rotation's been one of the worst in baseball because they don't give enough innings. Where you have Carlos Carrasco only goes into the 5th. Will Warren only goes into the 5th. Marcus Stroman goes into the 5th. And their bullpen's being asked to get 15 outs a night, and that just is not sustainable. As good as the Yankee bullpen is with Luke Weaver and Devin Williams, we haven't seen him that much because their starters aren't going deep. Rodon is, Fried is, and then Rodon even was okay yesterday. So I think the Yankees have a lot to prove coming home. They haven't homered in 3 straight games after having 25 homers in the first 9. So let's see if this offense can start to pick it back up again, particularly guys like Jazz Chisholm who are struggling. Cody Bellinger is getting food poisoning from bad chicken wings that he ate in Detroit. But outside of Goldschmidt and Judge, you haven't seen that, and Grisham, you haven't really seen that much consistency from these guys. So I'm interested to see what happens in New York this weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be a great series. That's definitely one that is going to catch a lot of people's attention. Alden, let's kick it over to you. What series has your eye as we move into the weekend?
Yeah, so I'll talk about one for a while, but I want to point out for the Cubs and Dodgers, they're going to have Imanaga, Justin Steele, and Jameson Talon in that series, which makes it an even better series. And then the Dodgers, a couple games are to be determined, but Glasnow is one of them. So that should be a good pitching duel for that series, especially with the Dodgers losing to the Nationals. They're really going to have to bounce back in this series against the red hot Cubs team. But I want to talk about the Mets and the Athletics. I think that will be an interesting series, especially because the Athletics look to get their pitching going a little bit. They have one of the highest team ERAs right now to start off the season, and the Mets have won, I believe, 6 in a row at this point. So, I mean, at some point, the Athletics have to get their pitching together, and I think that this series would be a good test for them. And because they haven't won a series in Sacramento yet, now would be a good time to send a message. So, obviously with this series, the Mets come in here hot. The Athletics, while their bats have looked to be a little bit alive so far to start off the season, if you don't have the pitching and the defense, which is another thing, this Athletics team has had times where they've committed errors that led to runs as well. So if you don't have the pitching and the defense, it doesn't matter how good your bats are. So with this Mets series, this would be a pretty good test for the Athletics to really get things going, and finally make a statement in Sacramento. I know that's not their home right now, but I mean, they got to make it their home temporarily. So obviously that stadium is a little bit unfair as far as the home run walls and stuff like that. But the bats are alive. We all know that. The pitching though, with Jeffrey Springs, looking decent and inconsistent a little bit. It'd be nice to see him pick it back up as well. But yeah, Mets and Athletics, I think that this will be a series to look at, see if the Mets can keep their offense going with Pete Alonso having a good start, Juan Soto looking pretty good to start off the year. So this would be a good test for the Athletics and see how many how many more in a row the Mets can get.
Absolutely. See if the Mets can continue that winning streak for sure, for sure. And see if the Athletics can finally, break through in that home stadium. I mean, we a couple of us picked the Athletics as a breakout team, but you're not going to break out if you can't win where you're playing 81 games out of the year for sure. So you guys kind of covered the big ones. I'm just going to touch on a few ones that I find interesting really quick. Kansas City and Cleveland, whenever you get these divisional series, they're always a bit intriguing. But I think in this case, you're talking about two of the teams that we all thought would be competing for the division title. And right now, you've got Detroit off to a really good start, a few games ahead. And you've got these two teams, second and third, trying to catch up to Detroit early on. So one of them is going to get some momentum towards that goal of trying to catch the Tigers. But also another one, Toronto at Baltimore, obviously, kind of a homer pick for me. But the Blue Jays are off to a pretty good start after splitting that opening series. They already played their second series of the season, these two divisional rivals. But it's Anthony Santander returning to Baltimore after signing with Toronto in free agency, a stadium where he hit many a home run. And we'll see if he decides to continue his previous trends by hitting some more home runs in his return to Baltimore against the Orioles. And a third one, I thought this one was going to be interesting, especially given their start, and I just talked about them a little bit. The Angels at Houston, the Angels, both of these teams, I think, are off to surprising starts in the opposite directions. I think the Angels, a much better start than many expected. Houston, a little bit of a worse start than people expected. So do the two trends continue, or is this series the opportunity for Houston to switch it and try to flip the script around? That's been the case for the first 2 weeks of the season. Also, can Jose Altuve, like what's going on with him in left field? Every time I see him in left field, it just looks awful. Can they figure out? Can he figure out what's going on out there? Because that has not been looking great for him, and it's almost a little bit embarrassing for the Astros that he's still out there looking like that. The Orioles have committed some errors. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't know. That's not looking great right now out there in Houston. And of course, the unfortunate byproduct, once you really get the season going, injuries are going to happen, especially, of course, over the course of a 162 game season, you're going to have your fair share of injuries. But Ricky, let's start with you. What are some of the key injuries that you have seen happened here over the past couple weeks?
Well, I think there's two big ones. One of them you guys touched on a little bit last week, and there was a sad update for the Braves. Ronaldo Lopez is going to be shut down for another 4 months. So when you look at what that injury looked to be, and this is a guy in Lopez the Braves were hoping would give them some innings, and now you're relying on Chris Sale and Spencer Schwellenbach, and what else you're going to get from the Braves rotation, especially when Lopez was the guy. They traded for Rafael Montero today to help the bullpen, but considering you hope Lopez comes back later in the year, that puts a lot of pressure on Alex Anthopoulos to make a move. I think the other interesting one, and I think this team will be fine, but Jackson Merrill, right about a half hour before we went on, hit the IL with a hamstring issue. Merrill was off to a really good start, had a good weekend out in Wrigley, hit a home run, I believe, in Sacramento this week against the A's. Padres are off to a fantastic start, 9-2. And Merrill was a real big part of that in the middle of the order when you look at adding with Tatis and Machado. I think it's going to ding the Padres a little bit, but if Merrill can come back in short order, they'll be fine. But it's just sad because I think Jackson Merrill, if he misses an extended period of time, was really starting to break out. It's weird to say from a guy that was right up there with Rookie of the Year last year if it wasn't for Paul Skeens. But that's a guy I hope comes back in short order to continue what he was doing.
Yeah, Jackson Merrill, that's a pretty big loss there for the Padres. I from what I saw from him so far this season, he was definitely looking really good out there. Alden, let's kick it over to you. What injuries are we looking at this week? What are some key ones that you're seeing?
Yeah, I'll stay local for this. Ketel Marte got hurt in the National Series. Literally the first game, he got a leadoff hit. He was running the second base and he tweaked his hamstring, which at first it looked like it wasn't a big deal. Like he walked off the field and everything. He got an MRI, and at first everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, he'll probably be back for the Brewers series," which the Diamondbacks play the Brewers here pretty soon after this Orioles series. But yeah, apparently Marte is going to be out for weeks. So now at second base you have a hole to fill, and now you're putting all your second base hands on Tim Tawa, a guy who barely had any AAA experience. So the Diamondbacks, it's just got to be next man up for them for the infield defense now. But yeah, obviously they're 0-3 since he got hurt too. So without our best player right now, currently, yeah. Which, while I give a quick update on the game, how do the Diamondbacks have bases loaded with no outs and they only get one run in? But anyway, so yeah, that's what Marte. That's how much he impacts the team. So with that injury, that really hurts. But yeah, I was going to bring up Ronaldo Lopez, a guy who was one of the leaders in Braves ERA last season. It just feels like Atlanta cannot catch a break. Like especially last year with the injuries that they dealt with, they still made the wild card. Last time I checked, they were tying with the Phillies, but yeah, overall, just the start to the Braves so far this season. With Acuna still being out for a month, Strider has still not pitched yet. It's like Atlanta is just, they can't get out of their own way right now. And I saw they started the year, I believe, 0-7, and I saw a stat line where teams that start off 0-7, they don't really tend to finish above 500 a lot. So, it's not really a good sign of how the Braves season will turn out. But, it is only 11 games for a reason. But yeah, the injuries just keep piling up for Atlanta. And, of course, with Merrill, man, just, the Padres, they have the guys who can step up and still keep the offense going. But, with Jackson Merrill, a guy who I think should have won Rookie of the Year last year, despite what Paul Skeens did. But yeah, overall, this MLB season in general has been injuries. But then again, in 162 games, you're going to see injuries in baseball. That's just how it is. We don't really see a lot of players, play even close to 162 anymore nowadays. We're lucky to see like 5 a year get to that. So, but yeah, overall, just a bunch of terrible injuries to start off the year.
Yeah, for sure. But hey, as we say that, the Braves game did just go final against the Phillies, and they did actually beat them 7-5. So they were able to pull that one out with a late inning comeback. So hey, a little bit of positive news for the Braves. They're 2-8 now. So they baby steps in the right direction. All you can do is play one game at a time, right? There's a couple of positive injury updates that I am going to focus on. One of which is Freddie Freeman, a little bit. One of the odder injuries that have happened so far in the year, re-aggravated his ankle injury from last year by slipping in the shower. But he is expected to be back here in the next week or so. So that's good news for Freeman. Does not look like he's going to have major long-term implications on that injury. Lane Thomas for the Guardians, one of their key acquisitions last year at the trade deadline from the Nationals, and a guy who has been one of the key cogs for them over the last half season or so. He's day to day with a right wrist contusion. He was hit by a pitch against the White Sox, and the Guardians already off to a so-so start. So losing anybody, particularly a guy like Thomas, who has been key to their success, is not great. And then the Orioles, Zach Eflin, if I were to throw another homer pick in here for the show, he was taken out of the game after 6 innings, so he at least got 6 innings yesterday after throwing 73 pitches due to right shoulder fatigue. Early testing results are positive, so it doesn't look like this is one that's going to be a major issue. I'm hoping, even if he misses his next start, which would be this upcoming Sunday, crossing our fingers that Kyle Gibson, who they signed right before the season, is warmed up. He's ready to go so that he can spot fill in that start. Everybody on Orioles Twitter was about ready to hang Orioles manager Carlos Hyde after pulling him through 6 innings and 73 pitches, only to then realize that there was actually a reason for it. It was not just, the pitch count management that everybody is so quick to jump to that conclusion. So, a lot of Orioles Twitter owes Brandon Hyde an apology this morning. I'm just throwing that out there. We were going to take our second break. When we come back, we are going to jump into the college ranks. We're going to look at who is having a good week in college softball and baseball. Do not go away. You're listening to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
And welcome back to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We are jumping into the college ranks now, where we are actually getting down to the wire a little bit in both baseball and softball. We are not too far away from postseason tournaments, especially in softball. But let's kick it off with the baseball updates. Ricky, we'll start with you. Who is your focal point for the week?
So before we get into that, quick look around at least baseball tonight. You got a couple of good ones. Kentucky, Louisville, 2-2 in the ninth. We have Auburn with a win over Georgia Tech, 9-8. Florida upset Florida State, 5-4. And then number 2 Texas, number 1 Arkansas continue to roll. But I'm going to go with the mid-major route. We're going to go with the Cal Poly Mustangs out of the Big West. And the Big West got some good teams. You consider. Talk about UC Santa Barbara, UC Irvine's usually good. Hawaii's having a good year. But Cal Poly, after a rough start, has won 12 in a row. They are 21-3 over their last 24 games. And in their 22 wins this year, 11 have been from the comeback variety. So this is a team that definitely knows how to rally. Their best hitter is out right now, Zach Dodette. We got a pinched nerve in his neck, but freshman Jake Downing is doing a really good job, hitting over 430 over the last 24 games. Cal Poly's got a going to face the top 3 teams in their conference over the next few weeks. So maybe we'll find out a little bit more about the Mustangs, but got to give some love to Cal Poly. Got off to a rough start, but they did play UCLA to begin the year. That's going to happen to anybody. So Mustangs offense is doing a good job getting their season back on track.
Great comeback for them after that rough start. But like you said, UCLA, that's a tough baseball program. That's a rough draw for most teams to start the season. Alden, who is your college baseball team this week?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Louisville today. They're winners of their last 5 games. They recently swept Boston College, and in all 3 of those games, they had double-digit runs, and their pitching gave up less than 5 runs in 2 of those games. So at the right time, their batting and their pitching has shown up, and they jumped in the rankings. They went from 18th to 14th in a short span. So this is around the time where you really want to win as much more as you can before we get closer to the tournaments, obviously. I do want to point out, though, and the main reason why I talked about them was because they have a series coming up, I believe, next week against Clemson, who is ranked 4th and is 30-5 on the year. So if Louisville wants to keep climbing those rankings, and this is towards the end of the year too, so winning at least 2 out of 3 against Clemson, if they can pull off the upset, would send a good message for Louisville. But overall, their bats have been alive at the right time, scoring double-digit runs in 8 of their last 10. Their pitching has kind of these in their 5-game win streak. They've definitely kept it going, but I think for Louisville, it's going to be all about their pitching to close out the season, especially going up against teams like Clemson and Kentucky, who keeps it close with them. So, Louisville, they've been climbing up the rankings pretty good so far, and this Clemson series on next Thursday is going to really be a good test for them before we get to the tournament.
Yeah, no, Louisville, having a great season. They're definitely playing well. It's climbing up those rankings too. And like you said, getting hot at the right time. Postseason tournament in baseball is a little over a month away. So now if teams are going to get hot, now is the time to do it. I'm going to keep it local here. I'm going to go to Virginia Tech baseball, who just snuck their way into the rankings this past week. They're 22-10, but they just swept a weekend ago. Swept Wake Forest, who was ranked 16th at the time, swept them in Wake Forest, which is even a bigger challenge, and then just took 2 of 3 from Notre Dame at Notre Dame. So 5 of 6 good road victories there. And now they have a big challenge coming up this upcoming weekend with number 9 ranked Florida State. That one, thankfully, is at home, so they at least have that going for them. But another reason why this is a key series, if they can have a good series against Florida State, looking ahead at their schedule, no other ranked teams, or at least currently ranked teams, on the remainder of their schedule. That's a month of not super challenging competition that, like we said, they get that momentum going. They could probably do some damage if they get hot for a postseason tournament. Kicking it over to the softball side here, Ricky, we'll kick it off with you. Who is your softball team for the week?
So we're going to keep it in the SEC because that's usually where we get some of the tough competition. We got some really good series this week. Tennessee coming up against Texas, who's number 1. LSU against Texas A&M. But we're going to go to Arkansas. And Arkansas is a team. They're 8-7 in the SEC, but they've beaten Tennessee recently in a series. They've beaten Florida recently in a series. So they're starting to find their game. And one of the players that's doing that is Bree Ellis. She is hitting .511 this season with 20 home runs, 59 RBI. She had 2 home runs against Florida over the weekend. And you look at this Razorbacks offense, they have 7 players on their team hitting over 300. Elle Davidson's hitting .393. So she's off to a really good season. They host South Carolina this weekend. That's another one of those tough SEC opponents. So, again, we're going to probably have the SEC tournament really under the microscope in a couple of weeks. But when you've got a player hitting .511 with 20 home runs, Bree Ellis is probably one of the best power hitters in all of college softball.
Yeah, great season for her. 20 home runs. That's impressive in any 40 game stretch at any level. And I think we're about at the 40 game mark in softball. So to be hitting basically one every other day, that is impressive. Like I said, at any level, really, yeah, baseball, softball, whatever it may be. Alden, who is your softball team for the week?
Yeah, so since I couldn't talk about them on AZ Sports Zone the other week, I'll talk about them on here. I'm going to stay local for Arizona Wildcats. So yeah, at the 40 game mark, they're currently 33-7, and they're ranked top 15. And a lot of their wins have come in these recent days. Actually, they last week had their Arizona showdown against ASU, won 2 out of 3, and then they beat BYU 2 out of 3. And then the bigger test for U of A was taking on Oklahoma State, who is currently ranked 18th, which is they lost the first game, won the last two. Their pitching showed up in the last two games. One of them they shut them out 3-0, and that is what made them go up a little bit more in the rankings. So at the right time, they won against another ranked team, a team which U of A softball in Oklahoma State. Normally in recent years, it doesn't really go U of A's way. So they were able to get 2 out of 3 here. But the rest of their schedule, they're playing a lot of Big 12 teams, and they're not playing a ranked team to finish off the season. So I think something about U of A, as we get closer to the end of softball, is the schedule's in their favor, and their bats have shown up. The pitching in recent games, I mean, they haven't given up double-digit run games, as far as I know, like almost close to at all this season. Their pitching has really shown up in almost all their games. There have been a couple innings where if it wasn't for the closers, they, would have more wins. They maybe be higher in the rankings right now, but in the state where U of A is at right now, if they can finish off their season strong, especially against teams that are really below their competition for this season, U of A can make a really good case as we get closer to the end. But overall, Oklahoma State and U of A was pretty good series, and their pitching really won them that series too. And they're taking on the Kansas Jayhawks this Friday, and they start that in a 3-game series as well. So the schedule is definitely in their favor, and I could see U of A making a run here to end the season.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, having a favorable schedule down the stretch has never hurt anybody. I can tell you that much. I am jumping over. I'm going to keep it with the SEC this week, and I'm jumping over to Florida softball for 2 reasons. The first of which being a rather interesting incident in the game against Arizona this past weekend, with Florida coach Tim Walton getting ejected. The story here is the umpires made a rather confusing call. The Razorbacks went to do a sacrifice bunt, but the head umpire ruled that the batter had been hit by the pitch prior to laying down the bunt, and called the play dead as she was being thrown out at first. And in such a confusing ruling, they literally pulled out a physical rule book. Somebody had a physical copy of a rule book, and the umpires proceeded to review it for 25 minutes. Now, we all know the speed of baseball. We all know, how sometimes things can drag on, but can you imagine in any sporting event, by the way, any sporting event at any level, having to sit there for 25 minutes while the umps just reviewed the rule book? Ultimately, they kept the ruling the same. Walton lost his lid and was immediately thrown out of the game. And honestly, after that length of review, I might have done the same in his defense. But rather interesting moment for Florida over the weekend, and what was a rather forgettable weekend on the whole. As we mentioned, they struggled against Arkansas. They did win actually that game that he got tossed out of 10-7, but kind of they've been on a little bit of a downslope, losing 3 of their last 4. They did drop in the rankings from 2 to 8, and it does not get easier. A couple of really key series coming up for the Gators as they face off against Ole Miss this upcoming weekend, Alabama next weekend, LSU the weekend after that, and they finish off their season against Oklahoma. So you want to talk about U of A, Alden has a favorable schedule to end. I think you could argue that Florida does not have a favorable schedule to end the season. Brian Francione jumping in here saying good evening. Guys, I'll give him the one with the correct spelling here. Good evening, sir. Those Red Sox, I mean, hey, the whole American League East is kind of right there with each other. So the Red Sox certainly not off to necessarily a bad start. Everybody could hope it'd be a little bit better, but you're with it. You're there. You're right there this early in the season. We are going to finish off our show here now, our final segment, Around the Diamond, where we talk about whatever topic is really burning right now. So, Ricky, we'll lead it off with you. What is your Around the Diamond topic this week?
So we're gonna go. A couple of things happened tonight. First, Kenley Jansen gets his 450th career save, fourth all time, and considering that Edwin Diaz is probably the next closest one at 220. Chapman's got 330, but I don't think Chapman's going to get near 400 saves. Jansen's one of those guys that doesn't get highly regarded compared to the Riveras and Hoffmans and the all-time closers, but he's definitely up there. Definitely going to have a Hall of Fame candidacy for sure. On a minor league side, the Dunedin Blue Jays got walked 22 times tonight, which is a minor league record. So they got a lot of free passes. But I'm going to go college baseball route. And it happened here in Teaneck, New Jersey today. It was the all-time losers baseball game. So I'll set this up. Yeshiva Lutheran was playing Lehman College. Yeshiva had a 99-game losing streak dating back to 2022. Lehman College had a 42-game losing streak going back to 2023. And Lehman, I think, was like 17-0 all time against Yeshiva. They played a doubleheader. Lehman won the first game in extra innings, but, and good thing, Yeshiva won the second game, snapping what was a 100-game losing streak. So good for both those teams that it was a split doubleheader because it was getting a lot of buzz nationally for basically probably was dubbed the worst baseball game of all time. But glad both sides were able to get a victory and can end those losing streaks. I can't imagine being on any kind of team, especially if you're a college student, being on a team that's 100 losses in 4 years. Essentially, you go your whole collegiate career without a win. And glad at least those guys get to have some form of celebration. Hopefully they at least celebrate a little bit after that game.
Honestly, if I was those two teams, I would have celebrated together after the end of the doubleheader. I mean, hey, let's all just get together in the middle of the field. We ended both of our losing streaks. Woohoo! Awesome. Great stuff, Ricky. Alden, what is your Around the Diamond topic?
Yeah, so Ricky brought up Jansen and the 450 saves for the Angels. I'm going to stay on the Angels, but not the Angels. Technically, a team that's affiliated with them over in their Triple A team. The first cycle game for the Trash Pandas was recorded in their history. One of the Angels prospects, Cole Fontenelle, I hope I'm saying that name right. He hit for the cycle today, and again, it's the first one in Rocket City Trash Pandas history. So as I continue trying to understand more AAA, yeah, so pretty good for the Angels prospect to do that. And obviously in Colorado right now, Zach Veen recently got called up, and so far he's delivered 1 hit and 3 at bats. But obviously the score hasn't really changed that much. Milwaukee is still pretty much ruining that his first game. It's 4-1 right now, and it's about to be the 7th inning. But yeah, other than that, a lot of good series to watch. I've talked about the Mets and Athletics, and then the Cubs and the Dodgers. Definitely going to keep my eye out on that series. And while we made our predictions for this Orioles and Diamondbacks game, so far it looks like it's going to somewhat be around there, as the game is currently tied 2-2, and it's the bottom of the third, and the Diamondbacks have a guy on second with 1 out. So obviously this will not be a pitching duel. This will be a pretty good, fairly offensively game so far. But yeah, other than that, hopefully to close it out for me, hopefully we don't have to see more injuries in the MLB. We've already dealt with it enough way back in spring training. So hopefully, nothing increases as far as the injuries go. But yeah, other than that, there's been a lot of good games so far, and definitely going to see how this Orioles and D-backs game ends tonight. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no more injuries, please. Let's, or at least let's slow it down. It's a lot. It feels like a bunch of guys are already missing a significant amount of time here. I'm going to go to a team that, yes, by record, they're not doing great, and this is a team that nobody expected to do great. But I think if we look at the numbers, there's at least some good stuff happening. And I'm going to take it over to the White Sox. Yes, they're 2-8. Yes, they have lost 6 games in a row. It's really rough, but they're only a -6 in run differential through these 10 games, despite being 6 games under 500. To put that into perspective, and admittedly it's statistical oddities with us being only 10 or 11 games in the season, but the Texas Rangers are 8-3, and they have a -8 run differential. So for the White Sox, I think everybody was expecting this season to just be a complete and utter blowout, just get absolutely destroyed. They're playing some competitive baseball so far, and I think their pitching, only giving up 3.8 runs a game, is something. I mean, I think the pitching I think was what I expected personally to be among the worst parts of the team, but it's actually been really encouraging, and that they are playing these close games. They are playing these 1-0 games. It's showing a lot more than maybe a lot of us originally anticipated, and some of their starters have actually been downright fantastic. Martin Perez through 2 games, 2 quality starts, and a .73 ERA. So really good stuff from him. Also, I do want to send a message, a recurring theme among Orioles Twitter right now. They keep demanding that the team trade for an ace pitcher. Okay, guys, nobody's giving up an ace pitcher 11 games into the season, okay? Let's calm the expectations. Nobody's making that trade right now, especially with all the injuries we've seen to starting pitchers. If you're wanting to trade for a pitcher, you're going to have to wait about 80 to 90 games until we get to the trade deadline. So, O's Twitter, let's calm it down with the trade for an ace right here, right now. It's not happening. That will do it for tonight's show. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to everybody who jumped in the comments. Larry, Ralph, Taryn, and Brian all jumping in there. Thank you to guys. Thank you to everybody who listened live across the internet. Thank you to everybody who will listen to this show throughout the week. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to get yours today. Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Go to their website, promo code IESR to get 15% off of your purchase today. Seal the Deal Wax Seals, custom wax stamps, perfect for any special occasion. Go to Instagram at @SealTheDeal_wax seals and check them out. And our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements, go to GetRawNutrition.com. Use promo code IESR there as well to get 10% off. Reminder, of course, to follow us on X at the BP Bulletin _IESR. You can also follow us individually. Ricky at RickyMater555, Alden at BATTRL, and yours truly, Mike at LeftLine_IESR. And be sure to follow IE Sports Radio if you have not done so. Follow us on all social media, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Also, check out the website where we've got our merchandise, the Hall of Fame, the blog, the show pages, a whole bunch of great stuff to check out there, IESportsRadio.com. And once again, reminder, if you love the show or any of the shows here on the network, do be sure to join the Supporters Club. Just $5 a month unlocks a bunch of fun perks, so check that out as well. We will all be back next week talking more baseball, pro level, college level. Both, obviously, the college season really getting going, or has been going, but the MLB season getting going as well. It's a fun time of year. The weather's going to start warming up soon, which means baseball is just going to start flying all over the parks, and it is really exciting to see. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. It has been Ricky K, Alden K, and Mike Patt here for the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio. Your recipe for all that is sports. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.